Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We have a fascinating and, if I'm being completely honest, a slightly terrifying stack of research to get through today.
Just a little bit.
Usually we like to ease you in, maybe start with a fun fact, but today we are going straight into the deep end. But before we get into the heavy biology, I want to anchor us in a specific date. Tuesday, January 28, 2026.
Just a few days ago.
Right. And it's a significant date for global health security, absolutely.
It is.
Because that is the day a recent Nipah virus outbreak in India was officially declared contained.
And that's a key word, contained.
It is. Now, usually when we see headlines about virus outbreaks, the instinct is to panic. You see the word virus in India and outbreak, and our collective blood pressure goes up.
Sure.
But the contained part, that really is the headline here.
It is. It's a massive win. It's a testament to rapid response. But, and I hate to be the bearer of reality checks, this early breathing, a sigh of relief, doesn't mean we can ignore the monster in the room. The region remains on high alert, and for a very good reason.
And that's our mission today. We aren't just reporting the news, we're looking at the why. We've got a collection of health alerts, some very detailed technical diagrams from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and a really excellent breakdown from the HealthWise blog by Project Plain Talk.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We want to understand what this virus actually is, because it's not just a bad flu, is it?
Oh, far from it. If you look at the case fatality rates, which we'll get to them, and they are sobering, it puts the seasonal flu to shame. We are talking about a serious zoonotic virus.
Zoonotic.
And the way it operates, the biological mechanisms behind it, well, ruthless is the word that comes to mind.
Ruthless is a word that stuck out to me in the reading, too. We're going to talk about a creature called a flying fox, which sounds like a superhero.
But it's definitely the antagonist here.
We're going to talk about amplifiers, and we are unfortunately going to ruin a very specific, delicious-sounding drink for you.
It's a necessary ruin, I promise.
So let's start with the basics. You used the word zoonotic.
Yeah.
I feel like since 2020 we've all become amateur virologists, but let's define that clearly in the context of Nipah.
Sure. At its simplest level, a zoonotic disease is one that jumps from animals to humans. Nipah is a classic textbook example.
Okay.
It was first identified back in 1999 during a massive outbreak in Malaysia and Singapore. But the virus didn't just appear out of nowhere in 99. It has a home in nature, a permanent address.
And this brings us to the flying fox.
The Torpus genus, the old world fruit bat.
I'm looking at the source image here. It's not your little backyard bat that eats mosquitoes. This is a big animal. And the diagram shows the virus structure right next to it, this spherical shape with these nasty-looking spikes.
It's a distinct structure, but here is the fascinating and slightly unnerving thing about the flying fox.
Yeah.
This is the concept of a natural reservoir.
Okay, a natural reservoir.
These bats carry the Nipah virus naturally in their bodies. It circulates in their system. But, and this is the crucial distinction, they do not die from it.
See, that's the part I found confusing in the notes. How can a virus be so deadly to us, killing up to 75% of humans it touches, but the bat is just flying around fine?
It's an incredible question. In a way, you could say the bat has super immunity. It comes down to evolutionary biology. Think about what a bat does. It flies.
Right.
Flight is incredibly energy intensive. It generates immense metabolic heat. Because of this high metabolism, bats have developed a sort of immune privilege.
Immune privilege. That sounds like a VIP pass.
It sort of is. Their immune systems are hypervigilant, constantly active, just to deal with the stress of flight.
Wow.
And this constant state of alert suppresses viral replication just enough to keep the bat alive, but not enough to eradicate the virus completely. So the virus just chills out in the bat, replicates at a low level and survives.
So the bat is a flying vessel. It's a biological container just shipping the virus around.
Exactly. The bat goes about its business eating fruit, hanging upside down, migrating across borders. But while it's doing that, it is shedding the virus.
Shedding it how?
Through every available exit, unfortunately. Urine, saliva, feces, even birthing fluids.
Oh, wow.
So you have this animal that flies long distances, covers a massive geographical area, and is essentially raining virus down into the environment.
Raining virus. That is a terrifying mental image.
It's the reality of a natural reservoir. The virus exists quietly in nature in these bats until it gets an opportunity to jump. It's not trying to kill humans, it's just looking for a new host to replicate in.
Okay, so the bat is the starting point, but I don't hang out with bats. I don't think most of our listeners are climbing trees to pet flying foxes. So how does it make the jump to us? This is where the routes come in.
Right. This is where the detective work gets interesting. There are a few pathways. The first is direct contact. If you handle a sick bat or you come into contact with its fluids, you could get infected. But that's rare for the average person.
Okay.
The explosive outbreaks usually involve an intermediate.
The sources call this the pig route. This was the Malaysia story, correct?
Yes, the 1998-1999 outbreak. A perfect example of how human encroachment drives disease. You had commercial pig farms planted right next to forests where these bats lived.
So the bats are in the trees, the pigs are on the ground.
Exactly. The bats are eating fruit in the trees. They drop partially eaten fruit, or they defecate right into the pig pens. The pigs eat the contaminated fruit.
Oh boy.
Now, here is where the concept of the amplifier comes in. This is technically very important.
The notes highlighted this word. Why amplifier? Why not just carrier?
Because the pig changes the equation. Think of the bat as a whisper of the virus. When it gets into the pig's biology, which is closer to ours than the bat's is, allows the virus to replicate massively.
So it's amplifying the viral load.
Yes, viral load amplification. The pig becomes a biological factory.
A megaphone.
A megaphone. The virus multiplies exponentially. The pigs get very sick. They develop this hacking cough known as barking pig syndrome.
Barking pig syndrome. That sounds distinct.
It is. And when they cough, they are blasting out respiratory droplets packed with the virus. And who's standing right there?
The farmers.
The farmers. So the pig takes a low dose from a bat, turns it into a massive dose, and blasts it at the human.
That's how it happens. It was an economic and health disaster.
Absolutely. They called over 1 million pigs to stop the spread.
But, and here is where the story shifts for the recent outbreaks in India and Bangladesh. There were no pigs involved, right? The pathway is different.
Completely different. And honestly, this pathway is almost more insidious because it's so culturally embedded. It's harder to spot than a coughing pig. This brings us to the drink you mentioned.
The date palm sap. I found this part fascinating because it's such a specific agricultural practice. It's not don't touch wild animals, it's watch out for your breakfast.
It's a perfect storm of ecology and culture. In Bangladesh and eastern India, there's a long tradition of drinking raw date palm sap. It's collected during the winter months.
A delicacy.
It's sweet, nutrient-rich, very refreshing. It's a real delicacy.
Describe the collection process for us, because that's where the vulnerability lies.
So harvesters, known as gachis, climb these tall date palm trees. They shave the bark near the top, cutting a V shape into it. Then they insert a bamboo tap and hang a clay pot or a bucket right under that cut to catch the sap as it drips out overnight.
Okay, I can picture it. A pot hanging high up on a tree, filling up with sugar water in the dark.
Now put yourself in the shoes or wings of a flying fox. You are a fruit bat with a sweet tooth.
Of course.
You are flying around at night using echolocation and smell, and you find a free, open bucket of sugary liquid.
It's an open bar for bats.
It is exactly that.
Yeah.
So the bats fly in, they land on the tree or the pot rim, they drink the sap, and while they are there, well, nature calls, they urinate into the pot or they drool into the pot.
And then the next morning?
The next morning, the harvester climbs up, takes the pot down, and sells it. People drink the raw sap. They're essentially drinking a cold, direct cocktail of Nipah virus.
That is incredibly direct. There's no pig amplifier, it's just bat to pot to human.
Correct. And because there is no amplifier, the viral load might be initially lower than standing next to a coughing pig, but because you are ingesting it, the infection rate is still high.
And these outbreaks are smaller, but more frequent?
Yes, they're seasonal. Every winter, when the sap runs, the risk returns.
Is it just the sap? Or is fruit risky too?
Fruit is absolutely a risk. The don't eat the apple on the ground rule is vital here. If a bat takes a bite of a mango or a guava and drops it, that fruit is covered in saliva.
Right.
The sources highlight partially eaten fruit as a major danger zone. Children picking up fallen fruit is a common tragedy in these regions.
So we have bats to pigs, bats to sap, bats to fruit. Once it's in a human, though, does it stop there? Or can I give it to you?
You can absolutely give it to me. And this is the secondary spread that keeps health officials awake at night. Human-to-human transmission is very real with Nipah.
How easy is it? Is it like COVID, where I breathe near you in a grocery store and you get it?
It's not as airborne as measles or COVID-19, thankfully. It generally requires closer contact. The virus is present in body fluids, saliva, urine, vomit.
So caregivers and healthcare workers.
Exactly. They are the highest risk groups. If a patient is coughing or vomiting and the nurse or family member isn't wearing full protective gear, the virus jumps.
It creates these tragic clusters.
You see it all the time. Patient 0 drinks the sap, and then their spouse, their child, or the doctor treating them becomes patient 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so let's talk about what happens when you get it, the timeline. I'm looking at the signs and symptoms list here. It says symptoms appear 4 to 14 days after exposure. That's a pretty wide window.
It is, and in some rare cases, it's been documented up to 45 days. That incubation period is tricky because you might not know you're sick, you might travel.
And when it starts, it sounds like everything else.
Well, yeah, look at the list.
Fever, headache, cough, sore throat, vomiting, difficulty breathing. That sounds like the flu. That sounds like a bad cold. That sounds like how I feel on a rainy Tuesday.
That's the diagnostic nightmare. Early on, it's clinically indistinguishable from many other common illnesses, but Nipah has a progression that is much darker and much faster than the flu.
Right. The severe progression section here is where it gets scary. It lists drowsiness, confusion, disorientation.
That drowsiness is a massive red flag. It signals that the virus has crossed the blood-brain barrier. We are moving from a respiratory issue to encephalitis.
Encephalitis is brain swelling, right?
Yes. The brain tissue becomes inflamed. This pressure leads to seizures. And then, often shockingly fast, coma.
How fast?
The progression from I have a headache and feel a bit sleepy to I'm in a coma can happen within 24 to 48 hours in severe cases.
That is terrifyingly fast.
It creates a crisis in the hospitals. Patients deteriorate before doctors even get the test results back.
And the statistics back up that severity. We teased the fatality rate in the intro. The sources say 40 to 75%.
To put that in perspective, COVID-19, even at its absolute worst peaks, was nowhere near that. 75% means that in some outbreaks, 3 out of 4 people who got infected died.
That is a coin toss you do not want to take.
It's worse than a coin toss. And even for the survivors, the lucky ones, the battle isn't always over. The sources mention long-term neurological sequelae.
Factor effects.
Persistent convulsions, personality changes, cognitive deficits. Because the brain has suffered physical trauma from the swelling, the damage can be permanent.
Wow.
Some survivors have even relapsed months or years later. It's known as relapsing encephalitis.
So if I wake up with a fever and I've been near a date palm tree, how do they confirm it?
Diagnosis is critical. If you catch it early, they use RT-PCR tests.
We're all familiar with those now.
Right, the polymerase chain reaction. They take swabs, throat, nasal, or samples of cerebrospinal fluid. They're hunting for the viral RNA.
And later on,
If someone recovers, they use ELISA antibody tests to see if the body created an immune response. But here's the catch. These samples are highly dangerous. You can't just test them in a strip mall lab.
because the lab tech could get infected.
Exactly. You need biosafety level 4 facilities, the highest level of containment, to handle live Nipah virus safely. That complicates the logistics in remote areas.
You have to transport the sample, which takes time.
Time the patient might not have.
So we can find it, albeit with difficulty.
Yeah.
But here is the big question, the million-dollar question. Can we cure it?
This is the hard truth of the episode. Currently, there is no licensed cure available for Nipah virus.
No cure, no pill.
No magic pill, no specific antiviral that you can pick up at the pharmacy that is approved for this.
So what do doctors do if you're in the hospital with Nipah? What is the treatment plan?
It's what we call supportive care.
Okay.
That sounds gentle, but it's actually quite intense. It means they keep you hydrated, they manage the fever, they put you on a ventilator if you can't breathe, and they give you anticonvulsants to stop the seizures. They are basically keeping your body running while your own immune system tries to fight a war against a very aggressive enemy.
That feels insufficient, given how deadly it is.
It is incredibly frustrating for the medical community. But I don't want to leave it entirely hopeless. The sources do mention experimental therapies. Science is moving forward.
I see that here. Monoclonal antibody M102.4 and remdesivir.
Right. You might recognize remdesivir. It's a broad-spectrum antiviral that interferes with viral replication. It's had mixed results, but it's a tool doctors can reach for under emergency protocols.
And the monoclonal antibody, that sounds more high-tech.
The M102.4 is fascinating. It's a lab-created antibody. Think of the virus as having a key, the spikes, to enter your cells, which are the lock.
Okay.
This antibody specifically targets those spikes. It essentially gums up the key so the virus can't enter human cells.
So it blocks the door.
Exactly. It neutralizes the virus. It has shown promise in animal trials and has been used under compassionate use protocols in humans.
Compassionate use.
That means it's not fully approved yet, but because the patient is likely to die without it, they are allowed to try it. But these are still under study. They aren't standard guaranteed cures yet.
So we have a virus that hides in bats, jumps to us through our drinks or our livestock, kills up to 75% of people it infects, and we have no guaranteed cure.
When you stack it all up like that, it really highlights why the World Health Organization lists Nipah as a priority pathogen.
It has pandemic potential.
It absolutely does.
So if we can't cure it easily, the only option left is to make sure we don't get it in the first place. Prevention.
Exactly. Prevention is the only firewall we have right now. And the good news is, unlike the high-tech antibodies, prevention is actually quite low-tech.
Let's look at the personal action plan from the health alert. Number 1 is standard. Wash hands.
Classic advice. Soap and water breaks down the lipid envelope of the virus. Simple, effective.
Number 2, avoid contact with bats and sick pigs. Seems easy enough for most urban listeners. But number 3 is the big one for the regions we talked about, the diet.
Do not consume raw date palm sap. That is the golden rule. And avoid fallen fruit. If a mango has bite marks on it, don't cut around the bite, just throw it away.
Now, about the sap, I have to play devil's advocate here. You know how people are about food traditions. If this sap is a cultural staple, telling them to just stop is hard. Is there a middle ground?
There is, and it's so simple. You can drink it, but you have to boil it.
Just boil it.
That's it. Heat kills the virus instantly. The danger is purely in the raw sap. If you boil it, or make it into molasses known as gur, which involves boiling, it's perfectly safe.
That seems like such a simple fix. Why is it still causing outbreaks then?
It's about taste and tradition. Raw sap has a specific flavor, fresh, delicate. Boiling changes the taste profile completely, and changing cultural food habits is one of the hardest things in public health.
Right. It won't happen to me.
Exactly. My grandfather drank this every day, and he was fine.
So if we can't get everyone to boil it, can we stop the bats from getting in the pot?
Yes. And the HealthWise blog highlights a brilliant low-tech innovation, the tree skirt.
I love this solution because it's so physical. Describe it.
It's exactly what it sounds like. You put a physical barrier, like a skirt made of bamboo, or netting around the shaved part of the tree. It covers the top of the collection pot.
So the bat flies in.
It hits the skirt and can't get to the sweet sap. If the bat can't get to the sap, it can't urinate in it. No urine, no virus.
Simple. Effective.
Extremely effective. Studies show that properly installed skirts reduce contamination to almost zero. It doesn't require electricity or vaccines. It just requires bamboo and some effort.
The challenge is just getting farmers to use them consistently.
That's the challenge. And then on top of that, you have healthcare protocols, barrier nursing.
That's vital for stopping the human-to-human spread. Gowns, gloves, masks, eye protection, isolation rooms.
Right. If a patient comes in with encephalitis symptoms in an area known for Nipah, you have to assume the worst and suit up immediately. You can't wait for the test result.
And on the bigger scale, public health. This is where the government comes in.
Surveillance. You need to know where the bats are moving. You need to know if pigs are getting sick. And crucially, you need community awareness. You need to go into these villages and explain why the raw sap is dangerous, not just forbid it.
It really does come down to that equation mentioned in the source material.
Early awareness plus prevention plus rapid response. Lives saved.
It's a powerful formula. And looking at the news from January 28th, it seems to be working. The outbreak in India was contained.
Yes, it was.
That means the surveillance picked it up, the isolation worked, and the chains of transmission were cut.
It is a testament to the health workers on the ground. It proves that while the virus is deadly, we aren't helpless. We know how to stop it.
It's good to have that reassurance. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I can't help but think about the bats, the flying foxes.
What about them?
Well, it's easy to listen to this and think, okay, the solution is simple. Let's just get rid of the bats. If they're the reservoir, let's drain the reservoir.
But we can't. And we absolutely shouldn't. That would be an ecological disaster.
Right. The sources mention their ecological role.
They are keystone species. They are major pollinators. They disperse seeds for hundreds of plant species. They essentially plant the rainforests. Without fruit bats, entire ecosystems would collapse. We need them.
So we're stuck in this delicate dance. They have the virus. We need the bats. We just need to stop sharing drinks with them.
That is the crux of it. This isn't really a story about a killer bat. It's a story about boundaries.
Boundaries.
The virus exists quietly in the reservoir. It only becomes a monster when those boundaries are crossed, when we cut down the forests and force bats into pig farms, or when we hang open buckets of food in their flight path.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
About what?
Nipah is just one virus in one type of bat. As we keep expanding, as cities grow and we change how we harvest our food, how many other reservoirs are out there?
Just waiting for a shared meal.
Just waiting to jump.
It raises an important question about the One Health approach. We can't view human health in isolation. Human health, animal health, and environmental health are all tied together. If we disrupt the environment, we get sick.
A sobering thought to end on. The outbreak is contained, but the risk remains as long as we don't respect those biological boundaries.
Absolutely. Stay curious, stay aware, and maybe boil your sap.
Boil your sap, wash your hands, and stay safe out there. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.